Welcome to Radio Vision Network. Bill Moore here with History for My Grandchildren. Our segment today is about a local Civil War regiment, the 23rd New Jersey, which was formed in Burlington County. Most of the men were from Burlington County. It has close ties. There are many people living today who had relatives in the 23rd New Jersey. The 23rd New Jersey was a volunteer regiment, and that's important because at the time that the 23rd New Jersey was formed, New Jersey had a call out for so many volunteers, and Governor Olden was kind of worried that New Jersey wouldn't make the quota and he'd have to do the unpopular thing and call for a draft. Well, men flocked to volunteer, and the 23rd New Jersey was one of the regiments that helped fill New Jersey's quota. New Jersey at that time did not have to institute a draft, and Governor Olden was spared the political problem of instituting a draft. Now let's talk a little bit about the 23rd New Jersey. It was a 9-month regiment, which meant that it was formed and signed up for service for only 9 months. It was organized in Beverly, New Jersey. Beverly at that time was one of 5 mustering-in camps for the entire state of New Jersey. And Beverly's camp was known as Camp Cad Walter. Now, Cad Walter, for those who don't know, was one of Washington's generals in the Revolutionary War. And General Cad Walter made the other crossing at Beverly Christmas night of 1776 when Washington crossed north of Trenton to attack Trenton. Okay, more about that in another segment. We'll talk about Beverly, the other crossing. Now, the men from the 23rd New Jersey got into Camp Cad Walter sometime in August of 1862, I'm sorry. They got there, they were officially mustered in on September 13th. And that's important because I looked and it said they were sent to Washington on the 26th of September. And I thought to myself, if you were mustered in on the 13th and you were sent to Washington on the 26th, you had little time to go through the problems of organizing a regiment, getting some military discipline, getting your equipment, and moving out. But they were there sometime in August, so it looks like, when you look at the calendar, it looks like they had about a month to get organized. They were part of the 1st New Jersey Brigade, and the regiment consisted of approximately 900 men. Interestingly enough, their first colonel, John Cox, resigned. And he resigned rather than face court-martial for drunkenness. Now this is going to play a role in a minute, okay? He was replaced by Colonel Henry Ryerson. Okay, big deal. We have one colonel, we have another colonel. What's the big deal? Well, Colonel Ryerson replacing Colonel Cox was the reason that the 23rd New Jersey got their nickname, the Yahoos. Ryerson, as the new commanding officer, reviewed the troops, and after the review, he called them Yahoos. And when asked why, he said, they're very irreverent to authority, and they have a lack of military demeanor. So it was a derogatory term. But the men didn't take it as a derogatory term at all. They liked the name. They put it on their regimental flag, and if we can put up that regimental flag of the 23rd New Jersey, you can see Yahoos right on that regimental flag. Matter of fact, we have reports that right up until the end of their lives, and many of them lived well into the 20th century, remained Yahoos for the rest of their lives. They were very proud of the fact that they were Yahoos. Now, why were they irreverent? Were they any different from any other troops? Were they totally dismissive of authority? The answer to that is no. They were from Burlington County. They were from all walks of life. Remember, Burlington County then and well up into the 20th century was a farming county. There were tradesmen, there were teamsters, there were carpenters, all the trades that supported a farming community with industry along the river. So they were regular people. Because it was such a close-knit area, many of the men in the 23rd New Jersey knew each other. Not only knew each other, they were related. There were brothers. There were innumerable cousins. Many of these families had been in the same area since before the Revolution. So I think this is the reason for their seeming lack of reference for authority, the fact that we're going to hold this thought for a minute. We're going to take a short commercial break, and I'll be back to talk more about the yahoos of the 23rd New Jersey.
You already know that Voice over IP or VoIP is smart for business. But what's the smartest way to make the switch? Introducing Encero's Utility VoIP. Encero is a full-service provider, which means we're there for everything you need. From installing your system to comprehensive on-site training for your staff to providing world-class service, Encero is there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At Encero, we've worked hard to engineer a better voice solution. We create a utility VoIP solution customized for you from the ground up. Our process starts with a readiness check, grooming of the network to support VoIP, and carrier upgrades for optimal bandwidth. We take the time to set up your VoIP the right way. Our superior technology means reduced downtime for you. And our flexible services are all-inclusive. Voicemail, call routing, caller ID, remote office mobility, even down to the hold music or messages. It's all there, and there's no additional cost for adding new features. What does that mean for you? It's everything you need for improved communications and productivity, all for one manageable monthly fee. And you'll have the ability to minimize or eliminate the costly upfront expenses associated with other solutions. And it means you finally have a phone solution that is flexible, scalable, and customized to your needs. With state-of-the-art phones and real-time monitoring of each and every call for consistent quality. Encero's Utility VoIP even gives you your own portal to manage day-to-day activity and on-the-fly changes. And it means unbeatable support and cost efficiency. You'll save on hardware, software, and even energy consumption. Just a few reasons why Encero's Utility VoIP is the smartest choice for your business. Satisfaction guaranteed. Encero's Utility VoIP, engineered to be better. At your office, in the cloud, your technology managed. Visit www.encero.com to learn more, or call 855-200-VoIP. To get started setting up your VoIP service today.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Bill Moore back on Radio Vision Network with History for My Grandchildren. We're talking today about the 23rd New Jersey Volunteer Infantry Civil War, known as the Yahoos. And we were talking about the reason for the name or the sobriquet Yahoos, and we were talking about the fact that they weren't really against military authority. They weren't irreverent. It was the fact that many of the men not only knew each other, they were relatives. Many of the junior officers and most of the non-coms had brothers and cousins and friends that they saw every day. So there was a familiarity. It wasn't a lack of deference for military authority. It was the fact that these men all were very familiar with each other. Now originally, they weren't called the Yahoos. They weren't called the Yahoos until Colonel Ryerson came on board. They were called the Quaker Regimen. And that was due to the fact that there were many Quakers in the ranks of the 23rd New Jersey. The area had been settled early by Quakers. Now let's talk about their service. We said that they entrained for Washington on the 26th of September. They were in Washington till sometime in October of 1862. And they marched into Maryland, and they had duty in Maryland until late November of the year of 1862. And from there, excuse me, they went to the Battle of Fredericksburg, Virginia. And that battle was December 12th to 15th of 1862. It was a very, very tough battle, and it was here at Fredericksburg that the Irish Brigade, if I can digress for a moment, distinguished itself. The Confederate general referred to the Irish Brigade on one of the assaults that they made on the Confederate positions at Fredericksburg. He said, "Here comes that damn green flag." The Irish Brigade was wasted at Fredericksburg. They made 7 charges against a fortified position uphill and exposed. And as brave as they were, they could not take that position. There were men in the Irish Brigade that fell within 25 yards of that stone wall. After Fredericksburg, the 23rd New Jersey had duty in Virginia till the end of April 1863. Well, what does that mean? Duty in Virginia means that they were more than likely in winter camp and doing all the things that you would do in a winter camp. Some drill, some recreation, more drill, equipment changes, equipment maintenance, and things like that. After April, the end of April 1863, they were involved in the Chancellorsville campaign. Chancellorsville was Lee's greatest victory. And it was here that Lee took a big chance. He split his army. General Hooker had the opportunity at Chancellorsville to destroy the Army of Northern Virginia. He missed that opportunity. The Confederates were finally driven from their positions at Marye's Heights in the Second Battle of Fredericksburg, and that was in May of 1863. And just at the time when Lee and the main body of his army were at Chancellorsville, the morning of May 3rd, and I think this is a particularly telling scene, Lee rode out into the clearing where the Chancellor Mansion stood. The Chancellor Mansion was on fire, set on fire by the battle, and Lee rode out on his magnificent horse Traveler, and here was a victorious Army of Northern Virginia that resoundingly cheered General Lee for his point, his fact that he won the battle for him with his tactics. This is at 10 o'clock in the morning. At 12 o'clock in the morning, Lee received some disquieting information that General Sedgwick had broken through the Confederates at Fredericksburg and was marching down the Plank Road towards the rear of Lee's army, with perhaps disastrous consequences. Lee quickly dispatched General Wilcox and his brigade to stop General Sedgwick. General Wilcox set up a defensive position on both sides of the Plank Road about 3 to 4 miles from Fredericksburg. It so happened that there was a clearing there. There were pine thickets all around, but there was a clearing, and Salem Church stood there. The 23rd New Jersey was part of Sedgwick's corps coming down the Plank Road. The brigade under General Wilcox, the Confederate general, consisted mostly of men from Alabama with some regiments from Georgia, but it was mostly an Alabama brigade. The 9th and 10th Alabama were set up, the 10th Alabama in front of Salem Church, the 9th in back of Salem Church. The Union forces, including the 23rd New Jersey, the Yahoos, attacked the Confederate positions at Salem Church, and they emerged from a pine thicket. By a pine thicket, it means that the pine branches were very low lying, and if you've ever gone through an area like that, it's very thick. You come out of this thickness into an open area about 75 feet across or more. The Confederates were waiting for the attacking Union troops. Vicious fire back and forth. Some accounts of the battle have it that one regiment drove the other off the field. The regiment that was driven off the field regrouped, came back, drove the other off the field. Eyewitness accounts recorded 73 years later by surviving Confederates of the 10th Alabama said that the 23rd New Jersey was driven back twice, at least twice, but they managed to continue. The Battle of Salem Church, there were about 5,000 casualties. So it was small when compared to Gettysburg or other places, but quite a few casualties in not too much time. The battle ended in a stalemate. And here's where it gets really interesting. A few hours elapsed, and then men from both sides emerged from their positions, crossed the lines, and began fraternizing. They swapped tobacco. They swapped coffee. They talked. Yes, these were the same regiments, the 10th Alabama and the 23rd New Jersey, that hours before had been locked in a life and death struggle. Okay? And here they were talking to one another. In 1936, two of those surviving 10th Alabama veterans were interviewed, and they said, and again I'll repeat, that the 23rd New Jersey was the first to come across the lines. We're going to take a moment to view some commercials. I'll be right back with my story of the 23rd New Jersey, the Yahoos.
Solano Community College transformed my life.
And gave me the opportunities I needed to succeed.
I received the same university caliber education
Without the pressures of debt holding me back. Affordable and flexible, I fulfilled my undergraduate classes.
getting to the information I truly have a passion for,
The decision to attend SCC empowered my future.
and made my dream of attending Yale University a reality. Solano Community College, the educated choice.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to make a really great sub, this is what we do. It's what we've been doing. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do. So what are you doing? Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
High-achieving students. Internationally renowned faculty. And award-winning alumni. A 226-year history of excellence and a beautiful urban campus. The University of Pittsburgh.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Bill Moore on Radio Vision Network, back with more history for my grandchildren. We were talking about the 23rd New Jersey, the Yahoos, and their encounter at Salem Church with the 10th Alabama. The 10th Alabama's nickname was the Alexandria Rifles. And as I mentioned before the commercial break, in an interview in 1936 for a Birmingham newspaper, Birmingham, Alabama that is, two Confederates who were veterans of that battle remembered the 23rd New Jersey. 73 years after the battle. One of them was only 16 at the Battle of Salem Church. Well, apparently the 23rd New Jersey felt the same way about the 10th Alabama, because in the 1890s, years after the battle, they raised money and had a monument erected at Salem Church. And it's interesting for two reasons. This is quite a unique monument. Not only was it one of the only monuments to a 9-month regiment, it was a monument not only to the 23rd New Jersey, but it was a monument to the 10th Alabama, their opponents that they faced at Salem Church. In the back of the monument there's an inscription, and I want to take a moment to read this. And it says, "To the brave Alabama boys, our opponents on this field of battle, whose memory we honor." That's unique, I think, in all the monuments that stand on all of the Civil War battlefields that we have preserved. I don't think there's another one that honors both sides. And I want to take this time now to reiterate a point that I've made before. The Civil War was a family squabble. Yes, we had horrendous casualties. Yes, it got out of hand. But before the Civil War, we were all Americans. After the Civil War, they were all Americans. And I think that the demonstration after the battle, when the two sides came out and fraternized, and not only did they trade supplies, but I'm sure, being from the same type of communities, the same type of farming, that they talked about things that were very pertinent to their everyday, daily lives before the war. The monument today stands on the position occupied by the 10th Alabama during the battle. The men that were still alive in 1936, 73 years after the battle, were part of Company B of the 10th Alabama, and that was from Jefferson County, Alabama. And again, I think that they were probably pretty similar in background to Company G of the 23rd New Jersey. Now, I want to go just a little bit of the history of the 10th Alabama, pertinent and I think to the story of Salem Church. There were 400 men in the 10th Alabama engaged at Salem Church. 120 of those men were killed or wounded. Now, they had been mustered in 1861, and they wouldn't be mustered out until 1865. On July 3rd, 1863, they were at Gettysburg, and they were ordered to advance and support what has become known to history as Pickett's Charge. They were out there in front after Pickett's Charge started, in front of the Confederate lines, to prevent a Union counterattack, which may very well have cost the Confederates more dearly than other things did at Gettysburg. On April 9th of 1865, the 10th Alabama surrendered at Appomattox, 10 officers and 70 men. That was all that was left of a regiment's normal complement, was about 900 men, okay? That's what the 23rd New Jersey started the war with. 23rd New Jersey lost 4 officers and 31 enlisted killed at Salem Church. Among those was Captain Joseph Ridgway of G Company. And I mention G Company because my grandchildren, their great-great-grandfather, Benjamin Beswick, was part of G Company. And I think an interesting aside, Joseph Ridgway was the maternal uncle of a man who would be born just months after Joseph Ridgway, Captain Ridgway, was killed at Salem Church. And his nephew was named for him, and his name was Joseph Ridgway Grundy. Joseph Grundy grew up to be one of the leading citizens of Bristol, Pennsylvania. He was a U.S. Senator, he was an industrialist, he was a philanthropist. The name Grundy is well known in Bristol circles even today in 2016. There's a Grundy Museum, there's a Grundy Library, and things like that. So I think that's an interesting aside. There was at least one Medal of Honor winner from the 23rd New Jersey at Salem Church, and he saved 2 comrades who were wounded from the murderous fire and got them out of the line of fire. Another interesting aside for the 23rd New Jersey, their commanding officer at Salem Church was Colonel E. Bird Grubb. The Grubb Mansion is still in Burlington. Grubb was from Burlington. He was a prominent Burlington citizen, and after the Civil War, there were reunions of the 23rd New Jersey, the Yahoos, held at his estate. Oneida Boat Club in Burlington has a picture of one of these reunions of the 23rd New Jersey. Now, I had some pictures, and if we can take some time to put them up, I want to talk just a little bit about those. Can we post those pictures at this time? Yes? Can we do the pictures? Okay, we don't have those available at this time. One of the pictures, I'll talk to you about them. Another time I'll get them up and we'll have them showed to you. One of the pictures is the regimental flag of the 23rd New Jersey. That's in the New Jersey State Archives in the collection, and that is a rotating collection. And from time to time during the year, the 23rd New Jersey flag is available for viewing at the New Jersey State Museum in Trenton. On that flag, right in the middle of that flag, is the word Yahoos. They were very, very proud of the term Yahoos. Another image that I wanted to show you was Salem Church, Virginia. It's still there. The church is still there in that clearing. And I had a modern image to show you that it was still pretty much intact. And then I had another image, which again I believe is fairly modern, and it shows the church from another angle. And even in the midst of all the development that's taking place down in that area, you can still see vestiges of those pine trees that surrounded the area at Salem Church. And the last picture was a picture of the monument that the 23rd New Jersey raised money and had erected at Salem Church. And I believe in the 1960s, probably around 62, 63, New Jersey's governor, and I think it was Governor Richard Hughes at the time, went down to Salem Church for the rededication of the monument at Salem Church. So New Jersey still paid attention to its veterans, still paid attention to its veterans of the Civil War 100 years later. Now, interestingly enough, we've just passed the 150th anniversary of the Civil War, and time flies. On Radio Vision Network, Bill Moore, I'm talking about the 23rd New Jersey, the Yahoos, and their part in the Civil War. One thing I forgot to mention, they were ready to muster out right before Gettysburg. They knew that the Confederates were on the march towards Gettysburg. They volunteered to remain on duty. They were sent to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the capital of Pennsylvania, which was menaced by the Confederate invasion of the North. And they remained there until they were mustered out late in June of 1863, when it was clear that the main focus was going to be towards Gettysburg and not towards the capital of Harrisburg. Many of those men that were released from service with the 23rd New Jersey immediately volunteered for other regiments and continued the war. But the Jersey Yahoos only lasted for 9 months in the service of their country. But the Jersey Yahoos lasted well into the 20th century in the memory of all those men who were with the Jersey Yahoos. Again, thanks for watching History for My Grandchildren, Bill Moore on Radio Vision Network. I'll be back with next week with another topic that I think my grandchildren and hopefully your grandchildren want to know and should know. Thanks for watching. Phil Moore again on Radio Vision Network.
Graduates of our university end up going places. Same goes for our students. Because while our campus may be a launch pad for bigger and better things, it's also a prime destination filled with sights, sounds,